Hello everyone and welcome to Anyone Can Click. My name is Pallavi and join me on this journey as we break down photography to its absolute basics. 1 week, one video at a time. The topic for today's video is the most basic aspect of photography, and that is light. So let's begin. Photography literally translates to drawing with light. Therefore, it's extremely important to ensure that we have the right amount of light. You see, when the light is too less, we end up with photos that look like this. On the other hand, when the light is too much, the photos look unnaturally bright and we end up with photos that look like this. But somewhere between these extremes of too little light and too much light, there is a zone of the optimum amount of light which gives us a perfect photograph, which looks something like this. Notice how the colors are rendered beautifully. There is good contrast in the photograph, and most importantly, you can really appreciate the texture and details in the darker and the lighter parts of the photograph. This amount of light is good, which brings me to the first and the most fundamental terminology and concept in photography, and that is exposure. I'm going to keep the textbook definition of exposure aside. So exposure is the amount of light that is finally available to make a photograph. So when the light is less, we call such an image underexposed, and when there is too much light, we call an image overexposed. So let's understand the importance of exposure with the help of some more examples. Now I would like you to focus on the darker parts of the photograph. In an underexposed photograph, the details in these parts are lost as they start to appear pure black. Similarly, in photograph number 2, I would like you to notice the brighter parts of the photograph. And this time, I would like you to notice the effect when there is too much light. We face the same problem, and the details are once again lost as the brighter parts start to blend into pure white. Under or overexposing an image can flatten these subtle details, making textures less pronounced. But when we get the right amount of light, the tiny details emerge, infusing a dimensional quality to the photograph. Now let's see how exposure affects color. When the light is too less, it makes the colors look dull and muted. On the other hand, when light is too much, it makes the colors look unnatural and washed out. But colors in a well-exposed photograph appear vibrant and true to life. Now that we have established how important it is to get that correct exposure, the question is, how do we do that? So let me demonstrate that with the help of an example. Now this here is an image making factory, and at the heart of this factory is a processor that is responsible to make the photographs. All it needs is one raw material, and that is light. But before the light can reach it, it has to go through multiple checkpoints. The first checkpoint is located here at the entrance of the lens. The second checkpoint is located here at the entrance of the camera. And the third checkpoint is located inside it at the entrance of the processor. And at each of these checkpoints, we get to decide how much light we want to let in. So what I've done right now is explain to you the exposure triangle. The first checkpoint, which is at the entrance of the lens, is called the aperture. The second checkpoint, which is at the entrance of the camera, is called the shutter speed. And the third checkpoint, which is at the entrance of the processor, is called the ISO. Together, these three tools give us the ability to control the amount of light that we want for our photograph. But the key thing to remember here is the three tools of exposure triangle control not only the exposure, but they also control a qualitative aspect of the photograph, which is why two images which have the same exposure can still look very different. Now that we've understood the meaning of exposure and we've briefly touched upon the exposure triangle, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Photography ultimately is an art as much as it is a science. So while we want to achieve that perfectly exposed image and we want to avoid that underexposed and overexposed image, remember that no image is wrong. Even underexposed images and overexposed images can make some very beautiful, stunning photographs when used intentionally, when used correctly. That's it for now. If you've come this far, please do like this video. It really helps the channel. And do subscribe and comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. In the next video, we will deep dive into the first tool of exposure triangle, and that is aperture. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.